Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I am doing a layout today, and this is a video response to a challenge that Marisa over at MAM 1016 has going, and it is the hashtag Scrap Our Stash 2015 challenge. And this week our challenge is to use 6x6 paper pads. So I have a paper pad here from Crate Paper. I think it's Little Boy Blue, and so it's a baby paper that I have, and also part of our challenge is to use sequins along with the 6x6. So I decided to go ahead and cut my papers into some strips, and I have no rhyme or reason. I'm just taking different size strips of some papers that I like out of that paper pad, and then I'm going to kind of arrange them on the page. I'm thinking about staggering them from side to side, and then I line them up. And at this point I don't even know what photo I'm going to use on this, just one of the grandbaby. And then I decide I'm going to do kind of a half and half layout and do my pattern paper over on one side and just leave the gray background paper, which I think is a Studio Calico paper. So I just love these little child baby images on this paper, and I like the grays as well. So I want to get these colorful little cards all peeking out. And then I also love this one with all the little rocking horses and rattles and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of dividing some of the more bold prints with some quieter prints in between. So I'm liking that color right there. And I want to cover up one of the seams, and I got these zigzaggy kind of masking tape, washi tape things the other day, and only the gray seemed to work color-wise on this, so I thought I'd give these a try. I haven't ever used them before. I hope they're okay, because yeah, I've got 4 rolls of them. And so I just cut off a piece, and then you peel the backer off, and they were easier to work with than I thought. So I was happy about that. And I just go ahead and put that strip to cover up one of the seams. And I'm liking that. And so I go in my stash of grandbaby pictures, and I find this one of Mason with the little mustache pacifier in his mouth. And I'm trying to find a paper to mat the photo on. And I go back to my 6x6 paper pad, and I find this one. And I like the little pop of yellow. It really stands out around the photograph. And so I just make a thin border around that, and I think I'm going to do it kind of probably a little bit more onto the pattern paper, but kind of then crossing over the border into the background paper as well. And I'm wanting to put another tape across another one of those seams. So I'm looking through, but I don't really like the colors of blue, green that I have. They just don't quite go. So I go ahead and just use this yellow, and I make it so that the arrows are kind of pointing into the photo instead of away from the photo. And I go ahead and put that down. So that gives me 2 tapes over there on that left-hand side. I don't cover every seam, but you know, because I don't want it to get too busy, but I just wanted to cover a few of the seams. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So it kind of goes in the center and more over onto the pattern paper side. And so the other part of her challenge, besides using the 6x6 paper pad, was to use sequin on here. And yeah, you know me and sequins. They get staticky and I get frustrated, and so I'm trying to put off using them as long as possible. So I decided to do my title instead. So I'm going through my thickers, looking at all the different colors. I could do black because he's got the black mustache pacifier there, but it looked a little harsh, and the reds that I had were too ruby red, And so I have some that are kind of light yellows and some grays and a couple teals, but I wasn't sure that it's more of a baby blue than a teal that's on the layout. So I wasn't quite sure. So I just pull out everything I think might work, and I'm putting it over there on the right, and then I'll go and I'll weed those out. So I think that black's too harsh. I like the gray, I like that yellow, I like that gray. That other one was too brown of a gray. The teal was too green. So I'm down to these three. I'm not really liking how light that yellow is, so I'm going with these two, and then I decide to go with the bigger font and go with this gray. So that was my thought process on how to, you know, weed out and get down to one that I want to use. And so I think I'm just going to put hello on here. And then one of those stupid shield bugs landed there, and so I had to get rid of him. And I thought they were supposed to be like hibernating, but every time we start a fire in the fireplace and the house warms up, they come out of the woodwork. I don't know where they are. But so anyhow, I go with putting the hello at the top. And I'm liking that. And I wish I could have found some of my mustache stuff. I know I've got a bunch of mustache stuff around, but you know, when you want to actually use some mustache themey stuff, it's nowhere to be found. And I drew a blank, so I decided he's got more mustache things that he will grow into, I guess. So I'll be able to use mustaches in the future. And so to balance it out, I decided to put his name on the bottom because it was just looking a little too top heavy with just the hello on the top of the layout. So these thickers gave me a little bit of trouble, the cursive, and trying to get it lined up because it's kind of a weird S they have going on there. So I get that where I like it. And then, you know, I'm kind of forced to actually use these sequins. So I'm going to pull out the blues, kind of more the blues and greens. I think about some yellows, but the yellows just didn't look right. So I stick mostly with just the blues, greens, and then I do find a few gray sequin. So this is the hardest part. So I have several packs of them. I had subscribed to This Life Noted, the pocketed page protector kit from Scraptastic, and they sent sequin in every single order, and I got sequins and tabs in every order, and then I just had too many of them because I couldn't use it. So I stopped the order for the This Life Noted and went with their scrapbooking kit, because I think scrapbooking is, you know, probably what I do the most, what I like the most, and then like altered items and journals and stuff after that. But I try to, you know, do a mix on my channel because I know some people subscribe to my channel to see the process layouts, and some people like the junk journals, you know, and some people like the altered items. So I try to kind of change it up, and I also try to title my videos really well, so you know when you see it what it is, and then if it's not your thing, you can just skip by it. And I also went and did all my playlists, so should make it easier for people who look at my channel to, you know, find the stuff that they like. So yeah, so feel free, you know, if it's not something that's, you know, more to your liking, then just, you know, let it go by in your feed. And so I decided to put this on with some hot glue here, and I found that works really well with sequin. At first I thought it would melt them, but it's actually just fine. So I just keep putting some on, and I'm just going to put them kind of over the joint between the pattern paper and the background paper. And so I just keep sticking them on, and I was glad to have found some that were a little more to the gray side. And then I'm going to turn the layout around and do the upper portion. But I like that, you know, it's kind of a lot going on, but it's not too cluttery because I'm clustering them pretty close. And I'm also leaving a lot of blank white space over there on that background paper. So even though there's a lot going on and it's pretty busy, it's all clustered. It's all in its spot. And there's some places for your eye to rest as well. So that was kind of what I was going for. So I'm just shaking off the loose ones that, you know, were static sticking on there. And then, you know, anytime you use hot glue, there's all those glue tails. So I just kind of hit it with my heat gun a little bit, and that gets rid of most of the little glue strings. And then I think about covering up that joint. I try a little piece of yellow paper. I'm, you know, thinking about putting something across that one gap. And so then I pull out a piece of green, I think the green paper, and I try that, but it just looked, it just didn't look right. It just drew your attention to that a little bit too much. And so I decide that I just like it like this. And like I said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of pattern, and yet it doesn't look too cluttered and stuff. So I really like the layout. And so here's a few close-ups. You can see the kind of blue, green, and one that's a little bit kind of gray on there. And then there's the thickers. And there is Mason. I must ask you a question. And then some more sequins down the center. And so that is my finished layout. And so I really had fun doing this, and I was so glad to be able to dip into my stash and use some stuff. So thank you so much, Marisa, for these challenges. I want to try to stay in there and do as many of them as I can. And so if you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment below, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.